a mistake without realizing it. And this is the primary cause of their failure. In this video, SMB's head of options trading shows you what that major error is and how to correct it quickly and easily. I'm Mike Bellafiore, and we're one of the top proprietary trading firms located in New York City since 2005 and proud to develop number 7 and even 8-figure per year traders. Watch, take notes, and learn from professional proprietary trader on our desk so you can grow your trading account.
Hi, I'm Seth Freiberg, and I'm the head trader of SMB Capital's options trading desk here in Manhattan. And I can tell you from training professional traders and working with thousands of retail options traders like yourself from all over the world, the absolute number one complaint that I get from beginning options traders goes something like this. They tell me it's hard enough for me to pick stocks that I think are going to go up and be right about it. But what drives me crazy is that when I buy a call on that stock, which is what I thought you were supposed to do when you think a stock's going to go up, and that stock actually does go up, why the hell does that call go down most of the time? In other words, I got the stock's direction right, and I still lose buying a call option on that stock.
All right, we'll save that lesson for some later time. Of course, my camera takes a long time to turn on. It's just an impossibility to make it work. It's just impossible to tell a baby not to cry. It's just impossible. To tell a baby not to cry. All right, everybody, you're probably worn out from all the videos, the debates, the Supreme Court releases, the space calls. Hey, Narad, I'll try to get Ham on, but I want to just go through these. Hey, Vanden plays the one. I'm glad I'm back to having 8 people that tune in. Kind of how I started out. Hey, Gerald. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Zuzu. There's so much that's happened. I was on a great space call this morning listening, and then I talked a little bit, but with Junk Savvy, amazing. Apparently there was a explosive space call last night with Curtis on and Busy. That's gone now. It's deleted. I watched the debate, the presidential debate, and of course I'm accused of having limited information, but even President Joe Biden said that there were 500,000 Ukrainians killed. So I don't know. I guess my information is as limited as his. My reaction to debate, not that you asked me, but I got the impression that Joe Biden really dislikes Donald Trump, number one. Just viscerally hates him. 2, I think Joe Biden really believes what Joe Biden says. So that leads me to the question, who's running our country? I don't know. It's not anybody we voted for. And then I was really amazed. I usually don't listen to CNN, but I tuned into their panel afterward, and universally across the panel, they were in a state of, I would say, something similar to when Bill Clinton's cabinet found out that Bill Clinton was lying to the cabinet about Monica Lewinsky. I think they had to realize that Jill Biden, and the Democratic Party have been lying to the loyal Democrats and the loyal Democratic media about Joe Biden. And boy, there was, I don't know, King through, there was an annoying woman in the middle who had nothing to say, but she had to say it first. But John King, and then there was a guy named Scott on the end. And then there was a woman sort of on the right side. They all made the same point. Joe's got to go. But I don't know that there's a way to get rid of Joe without his stepping down. I learned, which I didn't know, that in the 2016 convention, when Hillary and her cohorts completely abused Bernie Sanders in California, in New York, even in the place where Bernie was born, they took 150 or 160,000 voters off the rolls. The Democratic Party cheated Bernie Sanders in a massive way. And then you went to the convention and the superdelegates had all the power. Well, apparently the superdelegates have had a lot of their power taken away. So I don't know what it means for who gets to step in. I know that everyone wants Glennie Gruesome, Gavin Gruesome, but I just don't. That's the Nancy Pelosi wing of the Democratic Party. I just don't. I think all Trump would have to do is land in Market Square in San Francisco, hold a rally, and walk around to all the empty buildings, or land in LA and go out to where all the homeless are, or go to Colorado or Texas and hold rallies for Californians who left California. I don't see how Gruesome could win, but he's tall. I guess he's handsome. And I guess he's a smooth talker along the lines of a Bill Clinton. So maybe that's the savior. Then there's Michelle Obama, because I can only think that the person behind the scenes has to be Barack Obama. And maybe they'll try to get Michelle, but her experience is what? And I think she would get women. It would just open the floodgates of women voting for her. And a lot of men, I guess. But what are her views? How will she do in a debate? What does she stand for? I mean, obviously she'll listen to her husband and it'll be more neocon. I think Trump could have done better in the debate. I, for one, was disappointed about his answer regarding Israel, but you're not going to get away from it. Robert Kennedy, Donald Trump, Joe Biden are all going to support Netanyahu's slaughter of Palestinians. You're just not going to get away from it. And they're going to justify it when the most secure border in the world along the Gaza Strip Israeli border somehow sprung a leak just in time to save the Netanyahu premiership and his investigation. And then the slaughter of the innocents was half done by Israeli soldiers shooting Israelis as they ran through the field. And I didn't make that up. That's what Israeli soldiers have said. But here we are in the United States, we're going to support the obliteration of a subset of the Palestinian people, the Gazians, and I guess we're going to go to war with Hezbollah. Great, great. I don't think anyone's voted for that, but can the United States handle that war? I suppose. I guess we're just, if you listen to CNN and MSNBC and you don't listen to the Trump spaces and you're more informed than I am, we can win 3 wars at the same time. I really like Trump's answer on the Russian-Ukrainian war, the Ukrainian-Russian war, which other name comes first. He said, I'll have it settled from the election to before my inaugural. The killing, I will stop the stupid killing. And no one else cares about the killing. I remember one president, vaguely, I was young, that seemed to care about the killing, John F. Kennedy. I remember another, Jimmy Carter, who didn't want slaughter. But when did the Democratic Party become the party of war? Endless war. I don't know when it shifted, but anyway, I think, to me, the problem is behind the scenes, you've got Jill Biden, and I think Jill Biden owes the country and the Democratic Party an apology. For her own purposes, she's putting up a man who obviously belongs in the home. But she's a power center in the Democratic Party. Then you've got Kamala Harris and Representative Clyburn. I don't know how powerful Kamala Harris's reach is in the donor class. She never got over 1% of the primary support. She was ushered into California government by having an adulterous affair with the mayor of San Francisco that went on for a long time. But she never got there on her own merits or her own ability to work the crowd or anything. So I just don't see her having the connection to the voter. Maybe. I mean, she checks the boxes. She's a woman. She's her father was Jamaican from a family of slave traders, and he was a professor at Berkeley or somewhere like that, economics professor. And her mother was a student, not even a citizen, which is okay, Indian. Yeah, that checks the boxes. At least she's not a white straight male. But I don't think it'll have any kind of connection with the Democratic Party. Then you have the idea maybe of a governor like Whitmore, or I forget his name, Schuster of Pennsylvania, that can bring a state, maybe. And then you've got the potential of the 2 families that control the Democratic Party, the Obamas and the Clintons. And I go back and forth. I don't know how powerful Bill Clinton is anymore. Most people that are voting now don't remember him. People remember Obama. So I guess he's powerful. And he's probably the guy behind the president. So the question comes, is it going to be Michelle or is it going to be Hillary? I don't know. I stick with my prediction that it'll be Hillary, even though she's old, totally unlikable. But women will vote for her. And she's a neocon. And the contributing class are primarily come from the industrial military complex, the banksters, maybe big agriculture. Reportedly, BlackRock now owns the farmland in the Ukraine. I still think it's going to be Hillary. But then you read this morning that Biden's not going to give up. And then what happens? I don't know. I actually think after last night's performance of both candidates, that if the Democrats were to replace Biden intelligently, I don't know who, they could cheat the election again and credibly argue they won and beat him. I actually think Trump has a better chance beating Biden than he does if they replace Biden. So that's kind of risky. Anyway, that was the politics. Then the Supreme Court made two rulings that seemed to weaken the regulatory bodies like the SEC and by extension FINRA. I think on the one hand that's good because it maybe two things. It brings any procedures out into the court system, which is a separate branch of our government, the judiciary, not the executive branch, which is what the regulatory side is. It also might puncture the arbitration clause. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, but if FINRA cannot, or the SEC cannot have courts, how can they run arbitration? On the other hand, the negative is it might set up that GTII and Alpine wins their argument. I still think that whatever the case is left with FINRA, if they want to pursue it, will go through the court system. It'll just take more time. What else happened? Djokovic just won an exhibition match against Medvedev. There seems like there was one other thing that happened that was important. But anyway, let me go to what you're saying, and then I'll try to get Ham on. Let me tell Ham I'm live. He seemed to have said that he's going to be trading somebody else's money, so he might be tied up. Or something. I didn't understand his structure. Hey, Barbara. Hey, John Platinum Crossan. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Steve Mertz, looking good. I need to go to a beach and work out so that I can, pick up grandmothers. Hey, Pilot. Hey, Heath. Hey, Girth Mike. Hey, Eddie Eagle. Yeah, this is Obama's third term. I think that's the one thing, other than just feeling, I really think Trump could have shown a little more sincere concern for the complete mental deterioration. I mean, it's cruel to have Biden out there. Biden was making arguments from 20, 30 years ago. It's just like the Democrats. They argue racial arguments against the South. Biden's talking about people carrying torches coming out of the woods. I mean, I don't know where this comes. I mean, that Charlottesville thing, if you study it, and I want to be clear, I do not support the Ku Klux Klan. I do not support white supremacists. I hate racism. I hate it. I hate even having to talk about it in the sense that why it just divides us. But anyway, I think Biden is arguing, the Bull Connor type, Martin Luther King courage time, and Malcolm X courage, Robert Kennedy courage time, that kind of racism. Well, I'm sure there is some now, but life is difficult for everybody. Trust me, white straight males, particularly if they weren't born of the manner born, life isn't a jar full of pickles either. But on the other hand, I can see where there's advantages, and I think the Byron Donalds in the barbershop talked about it, but it's education. So one thing, after all these generations of pouring money into somehow separate education, it's just unfair. I forget the line, but you've got people graduating that they don't even grade out in their reading skills. If the one thing the government could provide every child is the ability to read at a high school level, a senior level, college level, maybe freshman in college, because if people can read, they're never in chains. If people can read, they can learn to think, they can seek out information, they can learn history. And I think the Democratic Party has failed in that as you measure it across our educational system. Anyway, I think Obama's third term has been disastrous. Your channel would be more viewers if you had GTII to the moon as the title. Well, I think that's not truthful, flaming, shooting bananas. Right now, it's not truthful right now. But if I don't want to repeat it over and over again. But since last July, August, I've been warning my views on GTII, and sure enough, I don't remember what the stock was, $2. I don't know if I'm completely wrong, but it's just gone down, 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 down. Now we're at what? Oh, let me see, 12 cents. No, we're under 11 cents. And I still think that GTII is in the throes of the counterfeiters. And I think by now we know that the entire financial system is rigged against investors. What you have is these huge plunderers. These are the plunderers. BlackRock has $10 trillion under management. Well, how do BlackRock funds get outsized returns? They have to cheat. And this is how they do it, or one of the ways they do it. They also buy up farmland when we have a land war in Asia. It's all cheating. BlackRock apparently had got the ability to buy up the bonds in the market when the market was suppressed, and they did it with a loan from the Federal Reserve, and they could leverage it up. So anyway, flaming, shooting bananas. The criminals are still shorting non-existent shares in GTII. If I were to put on my title GTII to the moon, I would be doing a disservice to people right now, anyway, that bought in my judgment, The risk is they come buying it, it goes to 15, and the guys you work for start selling it downward back to 9. It gives you some day trading. You get to have some fun, as I've read it in some of your posts, not you personally, but some of the shorts posts, and have some fun with retail was the quote. And I just think it's not a truthful title. I can't back that right now. If we can get a change in control and then a state mission, I think we can have that stock to $9 before you know it. It's going to hurt your friends. But when people see my titles, whether, and if I do what I want to do, I may not be able to do these kind of things again. So when people see my announcements, they can have trust that what I'm saying is what I believe. But I think to say GTII to the moon, frankly, would be pumping. And it would be without any basis that I know of right now. Now, GTII, I think because of the Supreme Court rulings, I don't see, and I might be misinterpreting it, I don't see Alpine buying in those shares. So that is on delay. There's a lawsuit, and you can go to Richard Hoffman to learn a lot more than I'm able to tell you, that may or may not have worked. But what do lawsuits involve? Time. Well, your friends aren't scared of anything that involves time. They just sell. So I appreciate your concern for me. I appreciate that you think that my goal is to get more viewers. I'd like that, but that's not my primary goal. And I appreciate that you give me that advice. But I think it would be a disservice at this moment to viewers. I think it would be dishonest. And I think it would only help your colluding criminal friends. Yeah, Barbara is agreeing with Saber Delta. AC Cowley is here. Well, let's look at Finger, AC. Finger is 258.5. I don't have that feeling that it's going to blow any day, but that's what my interpretation of what Ham feels. Let me just look at a chart. I continue to think Finger is an accumulate for a double. I mean, the chart, I don't think the chart looks great, but AC, you might be right in the sense that it's come down to a support. But, the problem with support, you just draw a different line. It's a different support. And this recent sell-off, which I guess is today, was a higher low. So we can try to see good news there, and it might be right. The volume is low, and it made a higher low, but I still think you need to see it break through 279, probably 310, 3.25. But the big thing to break through for Finger is if it got through 390 on volume, then you would be right. But I could be wrong. I don't mean to be negative, but I just see it as more of an accumulate. I think there's a double in there, but I just I don't feel like it's going to blow unless there's a big surprise announcement, which is always possible. Where we, it's a little like waiting for the earthquake in California. We all know it's coming, but when? It feels like big news has been pending in Finger for a while. That could always change things overnight, and then charts don't even matter. Hey, Darren, afternoon. Black Caucus will freak out if Kamala doesn't get on the ballot. I don't agree with you. I don't think Kamala, I don't even know what Black Caucus means. They call it African American. It's like calling all white men white men. Do you see how the black and tans treated the Irish? Anyway, let's not get off on all that. I don't think Kamala represents African Americans as much as you think, or the Black Caucus. She just happens to have a slightly darker skin pigmentation, but she grew up in a very privileged way, always had enough money. She complained she was on school buses. So was I. Probably you were. But she also does behind gated communities. She's married to a wealthy white guy. She grew up in rarefied economic air. She doesn't, I don't think anyone in the Black Caucus will shed a tear if Kamala Harris doesn't run. But you bring up a good point. This is why Michelle Obama may make sense for the Democrats. But I think it's why it would be so powerful if Donald Trump would appoint Byron Donalds as his vice president. I think Byron Donalds earns it on his merits anyway. But as a bonus, I think he would. I wonder if there's a woman Donald Trump could appoint. I can't think. I like Ana Paulina Luna, but that would be more Hispanic, I guess. I don't think. Look, Kamala Harris, when she was Attorney General in California, she kept men of color in prison for smoking a little marijuana. She did. I don't think her roots run deep, and I could be wrong. I'm just a honky. I wish I had AC in my house. AC. Hey, the one. Charlie M. A new name. Watching from plane on my way to Sarasota. Thank you. I hope you have fun in Sarasota. Are you going to golf? Summer? Or what else do they do in Sarasota? Buy and sell real estate? Yeah, that's interesting, Barbara. Michelle might not have a deep support either. I don't know. It's a gamble at this point. They didn't have a real primary. And here's a question. Should RFK have dropped out of the Democratic primary? What if he had stayed in? All of a sudden, the nation's eyes turn to you, Joe DiMaggio. Hey, hey, hey. Butter. Someone finally agrees with me. Not that it's my point. It's just that when I say that here, all I get is blowback. Thank you, Butter. True. All investigations show that almost half of all deaths on October 7th was by IDF fire. And a lot of footage shows that. Yes, and I'm not diminishing the tragedy of it. I'm not diminishing that. But at what point? I mean, it's the Old Testament. I think if you're, my dad said, don't talk. He said, don't talk theology. You don't know what you're talking about. And I admit, I don't know what I'm talking about. My dad almost became a priest until he met my mother. But I think if in the New Testament, I think the message from above is completely different than the Old Testament. But the idea of an eye for an eye, I suppose, is a moral thing. I don't agree with it. Christ said, turn the other cheek, but I guess the Old Testament says eye for eye. All right, eye for eye. Well, at what point is it 30,000 Palestinians, 100,000 Palestinians, half of whom are children? Is it destroying neighborhood after neighborhood, hospital after hospital, school after school? What do you call those? Apartment building after apartment building, infrastructure, fresh water, sewers, destroy all of it so there's no place to live, leave half of the Palestinian population starving. Actually, it's probably more than that, but half of that starving population is children. That's eye for an eye? I don't know. I think we, all of us, are better than that. Hey, Mike M. Chris Decker says the guy screaming at windmills on the daily. I do think there's a Don Quixote aspect to fighting the SEC, FINRA, Goldman Sachs, Citadel. And there's times I get worked up. And Chris, I really appreciate your input. I'll try to tone it down so that you, out of all of the people that listen to me, are well pleased. I think, I really thought about it quite a bit last night. I think it's time to focus on making money. I do not believe, after reading this lawsuit by the SEC, and then this shakedown of metamaterials by the SEC, I do not believe that the way to get your settlement in Nexbridge is through the regulators or Congress. I'm not saying we shouldn't keep working it and hope for breakthroughs, but I think the best thing we can focus on is trying to make money, we're running out of time for all this because the market is going to have a blow off top. And I think it's going to extend, if we're lucky, until the election, but it could end sooner. It used to be things in the market happened in a way that the market discounted them. I'm not sure that the market's much of a discounter anymore, but that can change at any time. So I don't think I'm going to get as angry anymore or upset or frustrated because it doesn't matter. When you read this, the SEC is going to stick up for the criminals. That's just the facts. So I'm not going to fight it anymore. And we have to try to make money along in that gravity field. HRC, lots of laughs. No. All right, Chris. All I can tell from you is you're one heck of a genius. You've nailed me. You've called me out as various images over the last few days, and your predictions are right. Your information is spot on. And all right. And so it won't be, Chris says it won't be Hillary. Just remember that, because you got to give credit to him for that. Sheer genius of prognostication. The Winged Wolf, I agree. Hillary will slide into the nomination. That's what I think. The main thing about her is the big money can trust her. She's not going to disrupt the banks. She's not going to disrupt the science. She's not going to disrupt the war machine. So she's perfect. AC. Hillary Clinton. F no. I'm not saying I support her. I would never vote for her. Hillary will probably relieve Sleepy. Well, that would be funny, wouldn't it? Crooked would relieve Crooked. I remember Bill Clinton, he was the original recipient of Hawk Tuah. I'm missing the reference. Yeah, I'm not going to read that out, AC, because it's probably not something I can say in this free speech country. Here, hang on. All right, I got to add my speaker. It was there, but you took so long. All right, hang on.
Battery 40%.
All right, that's, you should, oh, no, you're not. It faded away.
All right.
It takes 2 times. All right, there you go.
1 second, William.
Are you going to towel off first?
No. Hold on, one more thing. I just want everybody to know I was going live with you. All right, so Donald Trump didn't say anything about naked shorts, but he sure scared the shit out of everyone. Went from 24 to 42 this morning. I think it was trading pre-market. And like I said, you can buy the dip, sell the rip. So I have some friends that are actually all stepping in at all different levels, buying 33% as it drops. That's how they're doing it.
What do you mean? 33% position.
Yeah, so if you want to buy 5,000, they're buying, 1,200 here, 1,200 there, and they're just tiptoeing in as they. So, well, I'll just say BSing that they started at 37 and now they're down to 34, and they got a 35 average, and they still got a quarter position to buy left, or whatever.
Right.
So they get an average, as they taught. As you can see, the swings are both up big and down big. So trying to catch the top or catch the bottom is not easy to do. So that's why I just tell you to sell into the rips and you buy the dips. A friend of mine sold calls yesterday. We talked about it when he sold them at one. He paid $36.50 for it. And he sold 15 calls. I think he had 1,500 shares. He sold 15 calls of the 40s we talked about at $1.50. So those obviously went to zero. So $36.50, whatever it was, he's down to 35. He's down in the stock now, but he reduced his cost by $1.50.
And he can do it again, I guess, today.
And I just posted that before. I said the stock rallies, you can do the next month. Maybe the next swing up, you can sell the 45s at $1.50. take advantage of when the stock runs. That's when you sell the calls. You don't sell it as it's collapsing. You wait for a run up. The premium will stay the same next month versus this month. So obviously, they all went to zero. I talked about GameStop yesterday. I actually posted it. I said the premium in the GameStop calls is worthless, and the stock is telling you basically
Yeah.
they were gonna
Yeah.
they were gonna pin it. Remember, I said the
I do.
25s had no premium. It's just
Yeah.
But if you are a disgusting gambler like I am, on these type of days, with 2 hours to go or an hour to go, the 25 calls, which basically going to be, that the stock is 24.97. If you could buy the 25s at 20 cents, you buy 100 of them for 2,000.
Isn't
stock
it
spikes.
quad witching hour today?
Yeah, whatever it is. And a lot of times these things spike, just because someone's trying to cover against options. And, you get lucky. Sometimes they go from, 20 cents, they go to $2 in a blur.
Right.
You put up $2,000. It's gambling. I'm not telling you it's not. You buy 100, 2,000, and you sell them at $2. That's 20,000. You make 18,000 in profit. These little money to big money. But that's when I'm up a lot of money. That's when I do these type of crazy bets. You do, because these stocks can squeeze back in a second. So that's why you look at those things. Anyway, I posted this morning a lot. Obviously, we know who the next president of the United States is going to be. And Patrick Burns said on his conference calls with us twice that when Donald Trump gets in, that he will assist and make sure naked short selling is gone within 2 weeks. Am I correct, William? You
Say
heard
that
much
prediction again.
Patrick Burns said when Donald Trump's in, that he'll start cleaning up naked short within 2 weeks once he becomes president. He said it on our conference call, and Patrick Burns is very close to Donald Trump.
Cool.
So the countdown is 125 days until the election. The shorts can play all the games they want. Donald Trump, Devin Nunes, everybody knows. Squeeze the shorts, you get GameStop money. That's what this is all
So
about.
Busy Brands is having a space call on Monday, and it's going to be all the veterans that he can gather out of Congress and elsewhere. And General Flynn is the centerpiece of that. Donald Trump's General Flynn is the centerpiece of that space call. And they're going to discuss MMTLP, but it's for veterans. And that's Monday, I think.
Veterans? Just tell Busy, just show them the what was it? The Force Protection post by Patrick Burns.
Okay, if I remember.
Where I'll repost it when we stop speaking. That's for all the veterans out there where they destroyed a military company that protected the troops that don't get blown up from the mines that are on the ground, and they tried to did naked short that company down. And Patrick Burns did a horrendous story about that, but it's a true story. And I'll repost that. Let the veterans know that Wall Street loves them. They love them to get blow up their legs, get killed. And when the families put their money in the stock market, they rob it.
It's terrible.
Hey, this is what these people want. They want money. They don't care.
It's all about money.
Which leads me to believe, William.
Yes.
That a lot of the players here are not Americans, and that they have offshore partners that are, not Americans and don't
like
really give
Colombian
a shit
drug dealers or
drug dealers,
mafiosos, or
no, I actually don't think
African gun runners.
No, I don't think it's them. I don't think it's the Polish. I don't think it's the African drug runners. I don't think it's the Italian mafia.
The banksters out of Tel Aviv.
You got it. That's exactly it. That's who it is. That's who it is. You have to have real knowledge of moving money around through the offshore banking system.
The new New York Post headline: "Say it ain't Joe." They come up with great headlines.
Listen, they should have never had that debate. Donald Trump was baited into that as a fool for doing that debate.
It was cruel.
I would have waited another 40, 50 days.
Well, now they have a chance to improve their
Right,
bench.
that's
and
what,
their
that's what they were
team.
doing. They should have just said, listen, everybody knows the guy's, brain dead. You know what? They've been using him like a fool for a
It's
while.
unfair to him, I think.
Well, listen, he
You know?
deserves it. His wife signed him up for it. They all signed him up for it, and he's a fool, and that's what it is. But that should have never happened. They should have said, listen, no, Donald Trump can't make it. Doesn't feel well. Cancel it. Moved it back every couple of weeks. Moved it back. I can't do it. We'll do it then. Set it up for within 60 days of the election, and then you really screw it. That's what he should have did. But that's not my business.
Anyway, it's done now.
But now everyone knows this has been a joke played on the American people, so they can carry whoever's behind the scenes here. They belong in jail for what they've been doing.
Wow. 82% in a recent poll don't think Biden should run for president.
All of us, where are those 82? Where were they before? You needed to see that in person. What do you just look at
Well,
everything?
if you're
he says
watching
when he does.
CNN, this is the first time you saw the truth
Right?
with your own eyes.
Well, they put it up there. They put it out there for a reason, so that they can kick him out. What do you think they did?
I think that's what they did it on purpose.
Now they're going to give him a test to show that he's not. They're all there, and that's what's going to happen.
And I think it's something Hillary set up. Anyway,
Well, that's that. I don't.
let's
I
talk
guess
about
we should
making money. I mean, it's
Well, I posted a bunch of stuff before, and the shorts need volatility. As you can see, Donald and DJT stock, squeeze them up, drop them down. It's like a ride, up and down and up and down. Okay, that's the action they need. Obviously, DJT didn't make that spike to 54, so the spike was lower. So they got everyone who buys it at 35, selling it at 40, and it goes the other way. So they have it in a range. And that's sort of like a controlled buy-in. That's what they're trying to do in DJT. There's
does that
many
mean the
shorts in there.
premiums are going to get smaller and smaller as it bounces, or?
No, the premiums expand when the stock spikes because it's always like it's like a big mad rush to go buy it.
Okay.
And that's why you see it spiking up, and then they pull the plug and let it drop, and they make it look really ugly, like, oh my God, it's going to $2, and then it's going to turn and it goes the other way, all right? Because these guys shorted it, they shorted more, and they have to cover it. So they're doing it as it's going up. They may have sold, out of 100 shares, they sell 70 shares. When it drops, they're trying to buy back 80. So it's sort of controlled buying using those type of numbers. Sell 7, buy back 8. Sell 7, buy back 8. That's what they're trying to do without moving the markets too great. But it does move the markets because you saw the wild swings.
Right.
And that's why I keep telling you, buy the dips, sell the rips. It's a different game. GameStop is the same thing. I said, buy the dips, sell the rips. It's controlled buy-ins on both those names. Finger motion is the complete opposite of both those names. It's accumulation. We haven't had a wild swing yet. They have to make a wild swing, and it's coming because they need people to sell. Now, I don't know if it's going to go swinging up to 3, 4, or 500 or 1,000. But that swing is coming, and the swing's got to come to the upside. They may jam it up to 5 and then look around and say, okay, where's those no sellers? Well, take it to 10. It may be
There's
one
a
of those.
guy here named AC who said that he thinks Finger is about to blow, I think was his words. I'm trying to find it. I told him I'm not convinced, but that you are. So maybe you can explain why you think it's going to.
Well, because the action is telling you that there's no selling. There's no volatility. The shorts need volatility to stay alive.
Right.
They're not here to just short the stock and sit here and look at it all day. The guy who shorted
Like
the
we
stock,
do.
the guy who shorted the stock to 1.9 million, 9 million, 30,000 shares, whatever that is,
Right.
the real short, he's sitting here. He needs action. He pays every day 2 cents a share.
So he has to make
So-
at least 2.5 a day to keep the lights
He
on.
needs some action. If it runs up, he can sell a little bit. If it pulls back, he can buy it. Right now, he's just bleeding, standing here paying. They're telling him every day, give me my 2 cents per share. Give me my 2 cents every day. And he's just bleeding. So if he's short at 3, every day, 2 cents is disappearing, or a penny and a half, whatever the number is. So the most he can make is 2.99, 2.88, 2.8, 2.8, 2.68. It keeps going lower. So what is he even doing here? The only reason the real short is here because he's friends with the naked short, and they're telling him, you know, they've been trying to hold it down for him, but eventually he's going to toss in the towel.
Right.
He needs volatility. The naked short, they're sitting here. What are they doing? What are they going? Where are they going? They need action also. They can't cover anything. You know, naked shorts cover. They cover in GameStop. They cover in DJT. And when the stock runs up, they reshort them again. That's normal. This is abnormal, what you see in finger motion. It's not trading. For it's not trading is a positive for us. All right, for those who want to wait to get their reward, is because they have to make it trade, and they can't keep pushing it down because the company's valuation is way higher. They're basically putting themselves in quicksand, is what I see, and that's why I think that gentleman, whoever's saying that, that's what I agree on. And just one more thing, William, to add to that fire. People keep saying, well, there's no buying. The buyers are the short sellers. They're the buyers, and they're the biggest buyers in the world, 230 million plus 1.9 million. We don't need to buy one more share. We could just sit here and watch it.
Right.
Every day, it's getting closer to where Donald Trump is going to end the naked short selling. There's not a question that he's not going to let Wall Street beat him in DJT stock when he owns 70% of the company. If you think the most powerful man in the world doesn't want to grab billions of dollars off of short sellers, then you're out of your bird. This guy's a businessman. He understands it. And Devin Nunes is definitely talking to him or getting instructions from him on what to say. So they're doing it in a way that I don't agree on. I would do it a lot quicker, but they're doing it this way. And they're trapped. We have 125 days to go. So if you want to take that bet as a short seller, the short sellers will start breaking rank in DJT real soon. Like, let's say there's 15 guys, short sellers. They're all short 2 million apiece. I guarantee you they're all looking around saying, hey, you know what? Tony's starting to cover. F you, I'm starting to buy. And you're going to start seeing that. And they'll break rank. And it'll go. Now, the numbers are much bigger than that, but I'm just saying that's how they look at each other. They're all watching each other to see what they're doing.
On finger, do you think low volume is a buy signal?
I put it up on Twitter. Low volume is my number one buy signal. Number one. And I'll make a point to this, William. For everybody's on this call, all right? Clean your ears. This is the best tip you're ever going to get. You ready, William?
I'm ready.
Just change the symbol. Make believe this was Tesla. Make believe it's Apple. Make believe it's whatever stock you want it to be, NVIDIA. When they stop selling these stocks and they sit there and do nothing, the shorts all panic and they start to cover, and the longs start to buy it. And it just turns and they rip. When there's no selling in the stock, that's when it starts scooping it up. Now, I'm not telling you to start scooping it up, but you can change what you're seeing here. Use this pattern that you see here. Find any other stock like this that has a big short in it, that has big potential to the upside, and you watch what happens. It could be down 80 cents, and it's down on trades 3 million a day, and it's traded 100,000 shares. All of a sudden, you start seeing tick. It's down 79 cents. Tick. It's down 70 cents. Tick. It's down 40 cents. And all of a sudden, it's green. Boom, up 1.5. They all do it. They all do it. And once they go green, they run $1 something. I'm not going to tell you they're going to run $40, but those are the perfect stocks to buy for trading to make money on the upside when the selling is stopped. When the stock runs and you get this big monster volume, I don't believe you got to be careful with that because these naked shorts wash a lot of trades. In finger motion, the washing is stopped. Everything has come to a grinding halt. Not me telling you. Let's look at the tape. It's telling you right here yourself. I can't tell you to buy options because they hold these options down. All right. But, owning the stock is an option that doesn't expire. This is where they're going. The stock is worth north of 5. Benchmark, a Wall Street firm, did an extensive report on it, and that was their target, 5. Before the new business that's
That's
coming,
right.
they haven't updated it.
That's right.
So where are they going? They're trying to push it down for another nickel. Where are they going? Accumulation eventually will lead to higher prices. That's it. I'm not telling you to spike it. I'm telling you, if you want to buy it, you buy a little every day. Just keep poking at it. But the sign is here. It's close to going. And that's my opinion of it. And that gentleman also, I agree with you.
Well,
Now, what if the SEC comes out and gives us the approval next week on the dividend?
or after
We
the
know that-
12th.
We
That-
know
Yeah.
we know that a special dividend can cause a short squeeze because that's what they're going after John Berta for in Torchlight. They put it in his filing in the claim against him
Right.
that John did a dividend that they approved that
Right.
squeezed the shorts.
Well, actually, it's this document. I got to look it up, but it's like 6 months before the final situation. But yeah, anyway, let's not get
I don't know
technical.
what the hell does that mean. This document is-
Because there was a reverse merger of MMAT into Torchlight and the distribution of the MMTL, the whatever it was called, MMTLP as a private company, somewhere in June of that year. And then it was later in December when all of our kerfuffle happened. So anyway,
listen, whatever it
get
is.
caught up in the details.
No, just
It's not
again, the SEC and the claim against him saying he used a special dividend to squeeze the shorts.
True.
And that was his business plan. Well, to me, that's the best business plan on the world because GameStop proves to everybody on the phone, squeeze the shorts, or AMC squeeze the shorts. They funded themselves. GameStop has funded it. No business, a failing business, and now has $4 billion in the bank. AMC was full of debt, paid off tons of debt, kept the movie theaters open, then he reinvented a little bit about himself in AMC, and now he's selling popcorn. That's what he did on the movie. And I'm a movie guy. I'm with the guy. I like the movies. But now you have to see what GameStop does. He's got $4 billion in it. And you can see the shorts are all trying to say, well, you got to use the money to drive a business. And, so they got a lot of headwind there now. But still, the people want to fight that battle. I don't know why, but good luck with that. The company sold them out. That's, But, because the company sold them out, everybody still wants to fight it. But I'm not going to stop them. Good luck.
So do you think this guy, Brian, says when Trump wins, I'll say if Trump wins, will he ban short selling?
2 weeks after he wins, Patrick Byrne, we did a conference call twice with him, and he said it. Twice. He said it. And Pat Byrne is tied to Donald Trump. And he wasn't a Trump voter, but Pat Byrne hates the naked shorts more than anybody else on this call. Not more than me, but that's a different story.
Hey, Rondell. Hey, Lazy.
Listen, I like to look at it when I make bets in stocks. That's what they all are. They're basically gambles. I look at the risk reward. We have a stock that's $2.60. The company's fundamentals are worth $5. Okay, we can discount it. Let's say it's worth $4. Who's the hell selling it at $2.60? It's not an option. It doesn't expire. So I look at it saying, okay, I want to make a bet in a stock like this. Why? Because I don't know, I ratchet the CEO, just some fundamental things that can come out of it. The company's offered a special dividend. They filed it with the SEC. The revenues in the company are going upwards, not downwards. The business is expanding. They got great partnerships. All right. I mean, they can all drop dead tomorrow and the company can go to zero. I got it. But the likelihood of all that happening is, little and none. And, so that's how I make a bet. But the upside, thanks to Lynn Partners and the Naked Shorts, there's 230 million shares short. Forget about the 2 million real short. If the 2 million real short, if he were to start covering today and there was nobody selling into him, the stock would be 10. Just under 2 million. And he has to cover them back. We get to see that data real every 14 days. It's right there. Go to shortsqueeze.com. I'm not making it up. It's right there. Remember, data doesn't lie. People do. I'm not lying. It's right there. Someone is short. They already covered 140,000, whatever it was, in the last 2 weeks. The only reason they covered it is because the naked short is selling it to them because I can't see them covering. Normally when someone's covering, that means they're buying the stock. And we reported every day, William and I, about wash trades. I showed it to you every day. I put it up. Correct, William?
Yeah.
So the wash trades popped their ugly head out. And what happened on the wash trade? The naked short was selling it to the real short. So he was covering his position, returning stock that he borrowed. So he didn't have to pay a fee for it. And the naked short position just got bigger. That's all that happened. They moved it from one account to the other. Pete from Philly and Christian Shaughnessy had a little thing going back. Had an idea about the shorts. If you buy a stock and you're over 5%, you have to file that you own it. And they're saying if you're short, you should own it 5%, that you should report it. And I said, why be nice to them? Just buy them in. If there's a naked short, they're failing to deliver, just buy them in. Why should you give these guys any chance to do any more damage? Because guess what? They'll just open up 20 more LLCs and hide the short position and spread it out. Do you trust them? I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. If there's a fail to deliver, I don't care if it's among 10,000 LLCs, buy them in. There's no reason to give these guys any more leverage.
This guy's saying that Trump should pick Condoleezza Rice for his VP. Right there.
There's a gentleman that's been on Twitter. If you give me a second, I don't know the guy from a hole in the wall, but the way he speaks, it's so great. I can't stop listening to him. And there used to be years ago, there was a man in Congress that played football for Oklahoma, J.C. Watts, black man that played football for Oklahoma. And when he used to speak, I used to watch him on C-SPAN when he used to speak, and I couldn't believe he was a football player, but the guy was so well spoken. I can't remember the gentleman's name. God damn. I can't remember his name, but he's the perfect candidate for Trump. Not the guy from South Carolina. And maybe it's the guy from
Clyburn. Clyburn.
This guy from North Carolina. Who's the black gentleman from North Carolina?
Are you talking about Clyburn? No.
No, I can't remember his name.
North Carolina, the lieutenant governor.
He's a big chubby black guy. I can't remember his
The
name.
preacher. I think his
Great
name,
guy.
He's great.
Yeah.
Let me look.
I listen every time he speaks. I can listen to him all day. I can listen to that gentleman all day long because he tells it the way it is for everybody. Just great stuff. And he
His
handles
name is
himself.
Mark Robinson.
I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name. I watched him before, and I watched him speak for 15 minutes, and I was just mesmerized listening to him. And you know what? The guy tells it the way it is, and just, and he does it in a great way.
He looks bigger than George Foreman.
He is big. But that's the type of gentleman we need in the White House. He was just great, Get someone out that speaks the truth. Just keep telling it the way it is. Because I think that people want to hear it that way. And just like we want to hear it in crime and everything else that's going on, we want it to be in the stock market also. We need a fair market so that they don't rob from you, your kids, your grandkids, because they've been doing it for 36 years. For those of you who just joined and paying attention to this and have been upset for it for the year or year and a half, think about it. I don't know how old you are, but 40 years old. It's a good chance. You okay, William?
Just shooting some air into my computer to cool it off.
Oh, there's a good chance they stole your parents. Now they're stealing from you, and it's working on stealing from your kids. If you save money for them, they could kill us. It's just amazing that they continue to do it. And guys like the Lynn Partners, they deserve to be in jail forever, for life. And if they were in India, they should be hung, just like they say. Steal from people, you're going to jail. That's it, life. Like that lady in Vietnam, she was a billionaire. And what did they do? They sentenced her to death. It's just unbelievable. I got it. You grab a pocketbook and, you're starving. You're trying to do anything to stay alive. I got it. Those people are just acting at but when you have a premeditated crime like savvy management, a scheme to defraud people, defrauding, like robbing a bank, they planned it. They sat down and figured it out, what they wanted to do. These people need to go away. They could kill us who's in front of them. They belong in jail. It's just remarkable. Any more on the trading and finger? I can't. We're sitting here back and forth, 100 shares this way, 100 shares that way. They're just playing with themselves here. They're just trying to, I'll use my basic language, they're just trying to jerk us all off and just say, hey, come on, people, panic, hurry up, hit the bid. It's bid for 100 shares. We dropped it. We hit the bid for 100. Now we got 200 offered at 59. So I got to do the play-by-play. If you just go look at the freerealtime.com and hit the time and sales, you can go enjoy a laugh yourself. 2 shares, 17, 42 shares, all day long. Who sells stock like that? Wait, hurry up. I'm going to sell 2 shares. You sell 3. Let's hurry up and knock it down. That's what we want to do. And just remember, I worked on a big trading desk and I sold short for major funds. Now, I don't like selling short. I was never a short. But I got paid more money when I sold 1 million shares and the average price on the day, let's say the stock's range was 50 to 60, and I sold 1 million shares short at 57 towards the higher end of the range. I would get 10 cents a share, make $100,000 in commission. If I sold 100,000 shares at an average price of 53, I would get 3 cents a share and get scolded because I pushed the stock down. They want me to get more money. All right. They want higher prices. Real shorts want higher prices because when a company fails, the price eventually will work its way down, and they want more money on the sale. Finger motion. These idiots can't. This is what you call a fraud short. They can't let it go up because they can't maintain the margin calls. So they try to hold it down, manipulate it down. There's no reasons for anyone to sell 12 shares and 2 shares trying to hit the bid to mark it down. They're just trying to get it to be where it's red on the day. Oh my God, it's down a penny again. Everyone's in a panic. That's all they're trying to do. And to tell you the truth, if I was these guys in this position, I'd do the same thing. The only way to get out of this thing is they have to spike it real quickly from here to $5. Then let it drop like a stone. So they scoop up anybody who wanted to sell it, that had an order out there that wants to make money. They scoop them up, drop it back down to 3, sit there for a week, and then you start the slow movement back up again. Then you spike it to 6, drop it back down. Spike it to 9, drop it back down. That's how you start to cover in waves. But the problem is once they start doing that, they lose control of the order because their prime broker is going to say, hey, you're short at $4. This thing is $9. You need to put up, $1 bazillion. And they shut them down, and that's when they just go. And that will not be a controlled buy-in. that would be a mad rush buy-in like GameStop. Buy, just keep buying. And you'll get gaps, $30, $40 at a clip. And William, they just crossed another 12 shares at 25727, whatever number that is. How do you get change of that? If I give you 258, how do I get change of that? 25727. The exchange is a disgrace for even allowing that to happen. GTII, we're waiting for Richard Hoffman and his battle versus management to try to get them kicked out. I've heard some great companies that want to join that, but I would never say anything about it till management gets the boot. I can't, there's nothing to say. There's 500 million shares short. You got the proof, you got the Kramers, you got Alpine, you got the NSCC in a court document telling us they're short. It's all right there, but the company needs to do something to get excitement in here to force the issue. So that's all I can say about that till it happens.
Everything's red except NVIDIA.
Yeah, keep buying the video, everybody. And there's probably a big option of 125, maybe. Who knows? It's very difficult to play option expiration. Yeah, it's 125s in the video on 9 cents. Let me tell you something. I'm a pig. I'd be taking a shot on those things because if they spike it to 125, the thing could go to 130. So for $9, you could sell those things, boy, for 500 a piece. That's risk reward, but that's a gamble. You're
With
$1 away
50
from it,
minutes left.
I used to buy them with 5 minutes left. Let's see how it plays out. It's 124.10.
You must have
If you
had
buy,
a lot of
to me,
tickets.
that would be, I would buy 500 at 9 cents. I would offer 250 at 18 cents and have 250 calls and close my eyes. That's what I would do. That's what I used to do. And you go around the board and you can find 3 or 4 of those things, and you put in $15,000 or $12,000. I mean, I'm talking real money. If you catch one, you make yourself $50,000. You lose $10,000. You made 50 plus 40.
Right.
But that's if you're running money and you have money to play with. So if I had a good week and I was up 20,000, I would blow 5,000, 7,000, saying, okay, I'll take a shot. But that's an interesting one. Now, remember when the video, before they did the split, the volatility was out of control. So the volatility has come out of the stock. Tesla's one. Let's see, Tesla's at 196. So they got that. That used to be one that.
What are the puts on the video? Why wouldn't you buy the 125
124s?
puts?
What's the momentum in the video?
I think it is topping, but I don't know.
I'm not saying that, but the shorts, once a little tickle, and the shorts are in a panic.
On the other hand, I think
120
the whole market's going higher, so I guess you're right.
I'm just saying that I'm a long player, so I look for stocks that have a big short position. The momentum is, or the trend is your friend. I'm not here for NVIDIA I'm here to own NVIDIA to 4 o'clock. So that would be the extent of me in NVIDIA.
You must do a lot of studying for that kind of long-term
I look at it,
move.
so I got 50 minutes to go. Let me put my black suit on, because it's always option expiration. We always wear black because that means our options were expiring. But I just told you crazy gambling things by option people. We take shots on these things. Now remember, I've seen people sell those calls to open, saying, okay, we got an hour to go. Let me sell 1,000 calls at a dime. I'll make myself a quick buck. These are going to zero. And all of a sudden, some news come out, these things run up 20 points. Those people get wiped out. in a second. My older brother said on the American Stock Exchange one time, it happened twice in one day. Two stocks. So all these guys were selling these calls. They go around, they sell the premium. The option markets would take in the 20 cents or the 10 cents. They say in 3 hours. Also, I think one of them, the deal was, William, you probably remember, was Gulf and Weston.
I remember
Option
they had a
expiration.
deal. They got bought up by Texaco.
And it went up like 30 points on option expiration. They came in, the exchange came down, took 4 guys right off the exchange. Broke.
The Duke brothers?
Yeah, guys that were broke, took them right out, confiscated their houses, everything from them. They lost everything. So they went from making a couple of $1,000s to losing everything. I mean, that's what happens. If you go back and look, I can post that story again about the E-Trade guy who shorted a stock. I forget the name of it. A retail guy. He shorted a stock, and the stock exploded, and he lost $120,000 in a second. E-Trade bought him in, and he had to go out there and try to beg money. And there was a story about that. You can read how it went. Just give me a second. I just want to make sure I posted it so you can see it. I mean, oh, my short position got crushed. Here you can go. You can read it. This is what happens in options. This is what happens in the real world. In the fake world of naked short selling, they give these people leeway. This is what's supposed to happen. I just posted on the FNGR on Twitter. Trader loses $106,000, wants your help. You could see what happened. He got squeezed. The brokerage firm E-Trade didn't even call the guy up. He had no money in the account to his managed. They just bought him in. And he lost $106,000. And what does E-Trade do? They send the lawyers right to you and go confiscate your house or whatever you got. That's what they did. It's right there, black and white. Not making it up. How does Lynn Partners, you know they don't have this much money to back them. Imagine 230 million shares. Every dollar, you're down $230 million. They'll blow up major firms, Melvin Capital, guys like that. Those guys all got blown out of the water. Shut down, gone. That's how dangerous this is. Think about $230 million a dollar. That's why they keep trying to hold it down using these 100 shares all the time. And that's why I keep saying accumulation is how you get them. Because they have to stop sooner or later. They can't keep doing it. I can't tell you today. And listen, I say 230 million. I've only been counting it for 5 years. People go, how do you know they didn't buy it back? Well, I'm sitting here watching it. I don't see them buy back anything. I've never seen them do anything. And I watch the stock every day. They never buy it back. $230 million. Every $5 is $1 billion. You know how much money they're going to lose? There's Jeffries. If the fuse is leading back to Jeffries here, there's going to be a lot of blood. And I posted before, I said, I hope it's Jeffries. And everyone in the firm who let it go by, they should lose their homes and go bust. Lose their livelihoods over this. They deserve it. Just because they're protecting Jeff Easton and Lynn Partners, all right, trying to make money so they can make money for the firm. They all belong. And again, if we didn't have Donald Trump behind this little charade can keep rolling on, but it ain't going further. I'm telling you that right now. Donald Trump is going to squash this thing. He wants that GameStop money. And that's why they registered all those shares in DJT. They registered the shares because when they come a call in the shorts, he's going to plug them. He's going to give them, I think he has 70 million shares. Yeah, when he sells 70 million shares at $200-$300 to them, do you know how much money Donald Trump's going to have? And Wall Street's going to give it to him. And he's got 125 days between now and then.
Makes sense.
If you think I'm crazy, you know, I don't know DJT, but I believe based on Devin Nunes's his press releases, they all know about it. Devin Nunes is not just saying that without being, having meetings with Trump about it. There's not even a question about that. Right? You don't make noise like that unless you're getting approval from somebody.
Okay.
All right, William. The video almost 1:30 now. Excuse me, 1:24:30. So, people, if you want to learn paper trade, you're looking at option expiration day. The video is 1:28, 1:24:30. The 1:25 calls to expire at 4 o'clock in 45 minutes, or whatever it is, 40 minutes, on 9 cents. If the stock goes past 125, you kill them. If it doesn't, you lose 9 cents. So just paper trade. You bought one at 9 cents and see what happens. Let's say make paper trade, make it two. You sell one at 18 cents. You put it out there for sale right now. If you do sell it there, that means you have one option for free and you have no risk. And that's the way real players play. This is where you can really make, if you're really playing, you can actually make, $500,000 on a day like today if you catch a good rally into the market, into the close. Anything else, William? It sounds like everybody's dead. You're dead. Somebody's dead. You're dead. Somebody's dead.
There's not a lot of question.
Well,
you know,
listen, I'm just trying to give you common sense. You got to make your own decisions. If you think Donald Trump and Pat Byrne are going to end this thing, then find your stock that you want to get involved with and make a bet because it's going to be life changing. And I say he is going to do it because Devin Nunes just go Google Devin Nunes and make a short selling. The guy's making a lot of noise. And I'm sure he's not making noise just for it to go silent. So he's making noise for a reason. And the more you see this activity in the stock going up and down all over the place, the more they want to kill the shorts. They're not in business to get wiped out by criminals. And you got the most powerful man in the world, and you're telling me he's going to look the other way on this stuff? Impossible. And if he does, he's a bigger fool than then you can't possibly vote for him unless he does that. That's how I look at it. What do you think, William? Come on, give me something. Give me something to work with, William, here. Come on. William, you with me?
I'm here. I don't
tap on the phone every once in a while, so I know you're still here.
don't know what to give you.
We
talk about the same thing every day.
Well, listen, again, Donald Trump is speaking with Devin Nunes. Devin Nunes is speaking with people I know. The press releases are all pointing to congressional hearings. Again, I can't make the hearing happen. I wanted to have it more than you do. Trust me. All right. I rolled the dice. I blew $7,000 in options, taking a shot. I thought it was going to happen then. It didn't happen. And what else can I say? I took the shot. So the stock is an option that doesn't expire. So let's go back to we know there's 2 million shares, real shorts, right? They have to cover back. So if you say to me, you're full of shit, there's no short, well, there's 2 million. That's number one. I say there's 230 million. Let's say this Ham is the biggest jerk off you ever met. 230, this guy can't count to 10. Well, you know what? Let's just take out 200, make it 30 million. 30 plus the 2 million. I'm leaving out 200 million. 30 plus 2 million. 32 million shares. You tell me where they're going to cover it. Everyone in this stock is super educated. People in this stock are educated 10 times more than the GameStop people were. And GameStop went the first time. The only people who knew about naked short selling was me and my friends. Roaring Kitty knew about GameStop because he played games. I reported the data. I showed you how many institutions own the stock, and I reported that. I even did a report for the Abu Dhabi regulators about GameStop. Out of 10,000 names, I picked GameStop and I showed them the data on it. That's the difference. And those people were educated. My friends were super educated, and the highest we sold it was $118. Super educated. Now that you see what happens, the people that I know that are with us now know that 118 is a joke and that this thing's going to 1,000 in finger motion. Very different company, very small, 26 million shares at the DTC, closely held. Many people from Asia. I met doctors that own 1 million shares. They don't sell it. They just keep adding every week. They buy more, buy 5,000, buy 5,000. They just keep putting away. I met a doctor in Malaysia. You met the doctor from Malaysia.
Yeah.
William?
I said, hi, doctor.
Yeah. He's another big holder.
The guy next to him was a doctor. I said, doctor.
I'm just saying these guys just keep buying it, put it away. They believe, okay, people from Singapore, Malaysia, people that I met from China, that this company's worth 100 for getting the short squeeze. They don't even think about it without the short squeeze. I'm for the short squeeze. I mean, I believe the company's a beast, but these guys, it's $100 easy without the short squeeze. And they take advantage of when it's like this. They always buy it. They don't need to buy 1 million shares a day. You buy 1,000 a day, 5,000 a week, it's 20,000 a month. Just 1,000 shares. Imagine buying 3,000 a day, right? 15,000 a week, 60,000 a month. I mean, that's the accumulation that's been going on in this stock for a couple of years now. And when it spikes, they may have sold some, I don't know, but they come back and they buy it back. They keep coming. And that's the difference. But I'm basing it all on Pat Burns, Donald Trump. It's a lot. He told us on the phone. And William, am I not crazy that you were on the call?
Yeah, he said it. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Well, Pat Byrne, for those of you who don't know him, is a man of his word. Pat Byrne fought with the naked shorts. We fought side by side for years. He spent a ton of money, hours of speaking engagements. Look at all the videos that he's done on naked short selling. Just Google it yourself. And you think he's going to let these guys get away with it? He's been here to break the election fraud. That's what he wanted to do. That's his passion. He did it. And now he's moved on to this. Each day he talks about the election stuff and all. He spent all the money, doing all the work about the election fraud and those voting machines. He did it all. I mean, this guy is a trooper. And if you think he's not going to come back and fight for us here, you're out of your mind. And I know him well, and he's 100%. I saw him in Miami recently, and he is a trooper and a half. He's a man of his word. So I'd rather be on that team, and I stood with him. And now he dragged Donald Trump on him. Donald Trump has him. Now we got Devin Nunes. So we went from just Pat Byrne. Now we have the most powerful man in the world on our side.
When people use paper share certificates, was naked selling even possible?
Back in the day, when they were doing paper certificates back and forth, the trading was so much slower than this. And that's why they went to this electronic nonsense where they just, crediting everyone's account. And, I was on a trading desk. And at the end of the day, I would buy, sell from my personal account. And, at the end of the day, I said, I'm up 9,000 today. I'm up 9,200. You come in the morning, you check your account. Hey, there's my 9,200. That's all we cared about. We didn't think about the settlement process. You know, I started to think about it when I started to invest for the longer term, saying, wait a second, me and my friends, there's 45 million shares in this company. Between the people I know, we own 400 million already. How is that possible? We were all scratching our head. And when I spoke to Morgan Lewis Bacchus, they thought we were crazy. And then when they figured it out and they saw the data, they couldn't believe it. I told them the whole DTC, the settlement system, is broken, and they couldn't believe it. And now it's a major law firm that represents Merrill Lynch, Jeffries. I think it was Jeffries, Janney Montgomery. I forgot there was two other ones. We had a senior partner. I sat at a table with them, with the tax guy, this person, their SEC person, and that's where they helped design the special dividend. It cost us what? It was $1.2 million, $1.3 million to get it done using them, the highest level. And if you ever sat with a major law firm, they sit down. What's the tax benefit of this? What's this? What's that? And they come back with all the answers before they do anything. So I've seen it run up the ladder, spent a lot of money on it, got it done. All right. Companies, all the companies have always been afraid of fighting the SEC. And as you can see, retaliation, if you do fight back, John Berta, right? They come after you. They shoot the messenger. That's why, like, GNS jumped in, he jumped in, got his money, jumped out. He took care of himself. He did that too. He squeezed the stock, right? No one said anything about him, right?
Right.
They went after John Berta. What about GNS? Am I correct, William?
What about Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, he came in, just short. I got the FBI. We're going to go after this. We're going to do a special
The
dividend.
man
He
with
said everything on his
the
book.
man with three first names that came
The
out
stock
and said
went up.
it's his fight against short sellers after he talked to
squeezed
you.
them. He squeezed them up.
I'm
and
not
disappeared,
impressed
right?
with the guy.
No, I'm just saying, but he squeezed them up. He squeezed the stock, and then he disappeared.
Yeah, he did a deal with the shorts. His future is assured. I'm not impressed. Do you think Finger will be a controlled squeeze or rocket up?
Rocket, 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 rocket. I just described the difference. DJT is a controlled short covering stock right now. Spike it, they pushed it down to get people to bail out, right? The bear raid was on. Then they spike it back up, and today they drop it back down. Next week, they'll spike it back up again. It's going to go up and down. That's how you do a controlled buy-in. You got to get the stock to swing very wildly. Vroom, vroom, up and down. You stand in the middle of it, you don't know what the hell to do. And what they're doing is they're training all the investors to become traders. Buy the dip, sell the rip. Buy the dip, sell the rip. That's what they're doing. And the next time when it drops, you're going to miss your buy. And now you're out of the stock. And that's how they do it. They get people to start trading, and everyone becomes a 1 minute holder versus what you see now, like in Finger Motion or GameStop, people holding. That's people holding the stock is the killer. Wild swings, listen, if you bought 10,000 shares of Finger and you call me up and say, hey, I paid, I don't know, where is it now, William? I don't know, 260. I paid 260 for 10,000 shares, and it's trading at 8. And you go, what do I do? I'm going to say, hey, I need the money. Then sell the goddamn thing, right? You make yourself, $60,000, $50,000. Go buy a car. Do what you want to do. I can't. That's what happens to people. But when you understand it and say, hey, I got a great price. I paid 260. The stock is 8. If I sell it, I'm going to make 55,000. I'm going to pay 40% in taxes, and I'm not going to have the opportunity. If this thing ever continues. So I would say to you, hey, why don't you sell some, get back your 260, and then close your eyes and let it go? Because if it does go to 500 or 1,000, that changes your life. How would you like to pay off your mortgage, buy your kids a house, buy this, do that? That's the difference. You don't get these opportunities. This is an opportunity that's 5 years in the making, not 2 weeks. 5 years. This is 24 years of experience of studying this stuff. And when I was saying all this stuff, not one person on the street was yelling about naked shorts. I taught the guy from Mullen. I taught the guy from GNS. I worked with Pat Byrne. You name it, all these crazy companies I can't remember. CBM, Gert, he keeps raising money. That's why I don't believe in him. Because he wants to cure people for cancer, but he keeps raising money and the shorts keep getting plugged by him. Northwest Bio, I spoke with them, but they diluted the company to death. They should have did a dividend 100 years ago. I can't tell you how many companies I spoke to. I'm afraid I spoke to a company, I can't remember, maybe APPS, I can't remember. That's not the company, Apps, it's a different one. That one squeezed from 2 to 100. I know a guy who made so much money, bought an $8 million house in Naples on that short squeeze. How's that one? That's how much money he made. He was loaded in 300,000 shares. The stock went from 2 to 100. Made a fortune. I can't remember the stock volume, but I remember talking to the CEO. And I asked the guy, and he was very skeptical about the shorts. My good friend had $5 million in the company. He put me on the phone with them. And first thing I said to the CEO, how old are you? He said he was 55. Then I asked him what color certificates are his physical certs. And he said, why? I said, well, because if you don't fight back, you're going to use those as wallpaper. And then the second thing I told him, I said, you're 55, you make more money working at Walmart because you're going to get wiped out. He put me on with his attorney. I spoke with his attorney. His attorney told me this isn't feasible, what I said. The stock went from 6 to a dime. He reversed it, killed everybody. My friend wanted to kill him. He did nothing. And I'll remember the symbol when I get off the phone. I'll remember it. That was a direct conversation. And he got wiped out. My friend lost $5 million. Because he didn't believe the system. He couldn't believe it. He wasted his time, everything, wiped out. Listening to your lawyers.
Did you buy TQQQ puts this morning?
No, I did not. That's Steve Rosenberg. Get lost. All right, so it looks like the video is going to be a no-go. That would be a waste of time. It's not over till it's over, though. It's down. Looks like it's out. GameStop to 25. They fell apart, too. So it looks like it's to the downside today, as of right now. But a lot of times this is a head fake. This is what happens with these crapshoots.
Do you think the finger motion warrants will bring Univest to the party?
We met Univest at the party. We've seen them. We met them. I don't know what their plan is.
All the girls were at his table. I know that.
All the girls were at his table. Right? That's true.
Not mine. I was with a bunch of old fogies.
Well, again, is Univest, they're Chinese, is Univest working on deals with them and then raise the money? I don't know. To me, that looks like it may be a way that they're doing this, because the company got that last deal where they get a percentage of the charging at all those using their apps, the app for the charging for the cars. And I keep asking people, when I see people who have a Tesla charging, I always ask, how much is it? They all say around $15 to charge your car at those charging stations. So in China, what they said, they have 800,000 people using the app as their last press release. So who knows? Maybe it's 1 million, 2 million. Again, if they just get 100,000 people using the app, making $1 a month, that's $1 million a year for free. They don't do anything. There's no real business. It's just using an app. Collect the money. Imagine getting 20, 30, 50, 100 million people on that site.
COSM is up to $1 today. $1.07. It's up 40 cents. I guess you didn't have to wait that.
Stock?
COSM.
Didn't they reverse that stock? Wow,
I think
80
they
million
did.
shares.
I think they did.
How does a stock that's got 233,000 average volume trade 79 million? And just like I told you, I don't trust volume on these stocks to the upside. I trust the volume when I see it on the downside and there's no selling. That's where I trust it. And that's what I see in Finger Motion right now. No volume. Hey, William, I saw a great story on YouTube the other day about bed bugs in Las Vegas. They said, the town, people always saying it's infested with bed bugs. And the Woman's of Travel thing, she did a thing on it. She was saying that whenever you see a hotel complain that, they had bed bugs and they basically, let everybody know that there were bed bugs at whatever hotel it was. Because that's the hotel you go to because they're the ones that go in there and clean it out. Because they're in all hotels, but that's the one you go to because they just basically, fumigated whatever the hell they do to get rid of these things. I thought it was pretty interesting. Bed bugs, sorry. And for those of you who watch the show, the Game of Thrones, is called The Dragons, whatever the hell it's called, I can't remember. You don't know what I'm talking about, William?
Dragons and Dungeons, I don't know.
Whatever it is, I forget the name of it. I've sat down 4 times. It took me three attempts to watch the first one, and I'm on my first attempt on the second one. As soon as I put it on, I fall right to sleep. I don't know what it is. It knocks me right out. So I tried this. I finally got through the first one after 3 attempts, and I started the second one. And I looked at my television this morning. I tried to watch it last night. 2 minutes and 35 seconds is when I the TV shut off and I stopped watching it. That's as far as I got. 2 minutes and 35 seconds into a 40-minute show. So I'll give it another attempt tonight. Anything else, William? I don't want to lose you in
No,
my
I think
boring
we're at
stories.
the end of these questions.
Well, anyway, listen. Finger motion is an option that doesn't expire. I think the upside is infinite. I think these guys are insane. They've sold so many shares that are jeopardizing systems and banks. That, you can see what happens. Look at the guy who blew up Credit Suisse in Nomura. What's that? Bill Hogg, whatever his name is. He was over leveraged so much, and everyone just kept offering him leverage. This is what's going on. These people are over leveraged everywhere, and that's why you get these attempts. And again, I'm not just throwing a dart. I've been studying one stock for a long time. We studied GTI for a long time, and everything we said about GTI has come true. Everything. One thing has not come true. Where's the 500 million shares that we know is naked shorted? All right. How did the NSCC, the SEC, the DOJ allow Alpine, the fraud, the depository trust? That is the backbone to that's the backbone to the whole stock market. They defrauded the biggest component of the stock market. These guys defrauded Alpine. And they fought for 3 years trying to hide whatever they were doing. How did they not go in and shut these guys down immediately? But GTI is tied to that. It's in the court documents. We said it. It's right there. Now we see Finger Motion, and that's Lynn Partners. Lynn Partners just did a deal with this company, KNW, and I posted every day. Anybody who's invested in that stock, they need to have their head examined. The guy's it's right there. It's a toxic debt spiral note. It's right there. And the stock was 90 cents when they did the note. It's 42 now. And I hope people paid attention. The CEO is a buffoon for signing that note and leaving everyone hanging. Read the terms of the note. I don't know nothing about the company. Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I have to run, William. I have to get my son, and I apologize to everyone.
That's
But
fine.
have a great weekend, and
Thank you very much.
we'll see you next week. Thanks.
All right.
Call ended.
It's possible that they're going to work it out in a managed way. Um, all I can tell you is I saw the bullet. I saw it, but I admitted when I told you about it, I couldn't verify it one way or the other because I agree with you. I don't know anything about ordnance. It may have been a rubber bullet. I can't remember, but it was in they had it in a glass, one of those plastic see-through things. And there was the picture of the boy dead I think in his father's hands. It was not pleasant. Apparently, I don't know anything about firearms and ammunition. I don't know anything. I did take an NRA course. I have successfully shot skeet, but I don't know much. I went on a pheasant hunt. I went hunting for boar in Turkey, and my friend who paid for everything got really mad at me because the guy the two of us were in this one at the end of the big hill. There's I don't know, it's like a valley, but it's so small you can't call it a valley. Hill on each side, but we're standing up with our shotguns on the little hills as the dogs are going to run the pigs through this little area. And my friend said they're the best educated wild boar in Turkey. They learned all about the Palestinian issue because that's what the Turkish guy and I were talking about. We scared them away. Let me just, I looked this up while I was listening. You probably haven't thought about it much, but this is what the Second Amendment says. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. And if you've studied your history, you know that was a compromise. So I looked up, there's a whole long list. This is from the George Mason University School of Law, which is right out here. My sister went to it. It's a good school. My dad was a senior fellow there in the George Mason School of Peace. There's a crappy offices. He said there's not much money in peace. But Professor Nelson Lund writes, and Adam Winker, they're both together. Modern debates about the Second Amendment. I haven't read it before, so there's no bias here that I'm trying to have. We'll see where it takes us. Have focused on whether it protects a private right of individuals to keep and bear arms, or a right that can be exercised only through militia organizations like the National Guard. This question, however, was not even raised until long after the Bill of Rights was adopted. Many in the founding generation believed that governments are prone to use soldiers to oppress people. English history suggested that this risk could be controlled by permitting the government to raise armies consisting of full-time paid troops only when needed to fight foreign adversaries. For other purposes, such as responding to sudden invasions or other emergencies, the government could rely on a militia that consisted of ordinary civilians who had supplied their own weapons and received some part-time unpaid military training. The onset of war does not always allow time to raise and train an army, and the Revolutionary War showed that militia forces could not be relied on for national defense. The Constitutional Convention, therefore, decided that the federal government should have almost unfettered authority to establish peacetime standing armies and to regulate the militia. This massive shift of power from the states to the federal government generated one of the chief objections to the proposed Constitution. Anti-federalists argued that the proposed Constitution would take from the states their principal means of defense against federal usurpation. That doesn't sound right. The Federalists responded that their fears of federal oppression were overblown, in part because the American people were armed and would be almost impossible to subdue through military force. Implicit in this debate between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists were two shared assumptions. First, that the proposed new Constitution gave the federal government almost total legal authority over the army and militia. Second, that the federal government should not have any authority to disarm the citizenry. They disagreed only about whether an armed populace could adequately deter the federal oppression. The Second Amendment conceded nothing to the Anti-Federalists' desire to sharply curtail the military power of the federal government, which would have required substantial changes in the original Constitution. Yet the amendment was easily accepted because of widespread agreement that the federal government should not have the power to infringe the right of the people to keep and bear arms, any more than it should have the power to abridge the freedom of speech, except on YouTube, or prohibit the free exercise of religion, and yet unless you're a Palestinian. Since much of this changed since 1791, the traditional militia fell into disuse, and state-based militia organizations were eventually incorporated into the federal military structure. The nation's military establishment has become enormously more powerful than 18th century armies. We still hear political rhetoric about federal tyranny, but most Americans do not fear the nation's armed forces, and virtually no one thinks that an armed populace could defeat those forces in battle. Furthermore, 18th century civilians routinely kept at home the very same weapons they would need if called on to serve in the militia, while modern soldiers are equipped with weapons that differ significantly from those generally thought appropriate for civilian uses. Civilians no longer expect to use their household weapons for militia duty, although they still keep and bear arms to defend against common criminals, as well as for hunting and other forms of recreation. The law has also changed. While states in the founding era regulated guns, blacks were often prohibited from possessing firearms, and militia weapons were frequently registered on government rolls. Gun laws today are more extensive and controversial. Another important legal development was the adoption of the 14th Amendment. The Second Amendment originally applied only to the federal government, leaving states to regulate weapons as they saw fit. Although there is substantial evidence that the Privileges or Immunities Clause of the 14th Amendment was meant to protect the right of individuals to keep and bear arms from infringement by the states, the Supreme Court rejected this interpretation in United States versus Cruikshank in 1876. Until recently, the judiciary treated the Second Amendment almost as a dead letter. In District of Columbia versus Heller, 2008, however, the Supreme Court invalidated a federal law that forbade nearly all civilians from possessing handguns in the nation's capital. A 5-4 majority ruled that the language and history of the Second Amendment showed that it protects a private right of individual to have arms for their own defense, not a right of the states to maintain a militia. The dissenters disagreed. They concluded that the Second Amendment protects a nominally individual right, the one that protects only, quote, the right of the people of each of the several states to maintain a well-regulated militia, unquote. They also argued that even if the Second Amendment did protect an individual right to have arms for self-defense, it should be interpreted to allow the government to ban handguns in high-crime urban areas. 2 years later, in McDonald versus the City of Chicago, 2010, the court struck down a similar handgun ban at the state level, again by a 5-4 vote. 4 justices relied on judicial precedents under the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause. Justice Thomas rejected those precedents in favor of reliance on the Privileges or Immunities Clause. But all 5 members of the majority concluded that the 14th Amendment protects against state infringement, the same individual right that is protected from federal infringement by the Second Amendment. Notwithstanding the lengthy opinions in Heller and McDonald, they technically ruled only that government may not ban the possession of handguns by civilians in their homes. Heller tentatively suggested a list of presumptively lawful regulation, including bans on the possession of firearms by felons and the mentally ill, bans on carrying firearms in sensitive places such as schools and government buildings, laws restricting the commercial sale of arms, bans on the concealed carry of firearms, and bans on weapons, quote, not typically possessed by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes, unquote. Many issues remain open, and the lower courts have disagreed with one another about some of them, including important questions involving restrictions on carrying weapons in public. The right to keep and bear arms is a lot like the right to freedom of speech. In each case, the Constitution expressly protects a liberty that needs to be insulated from the ordinary political process. Unless you're on YouTube, you can violate it. Neither right, however, is absolute. The First Amendment, for example, has never protected perjury, which on these bases sometimes they say it's a right to lie. But anyway, the First Amendment has never protected perjury, fraud, or countless other crimes that are committed through the use of speech. Similarly, no reasonable person could believe that violent criminals should have unrestricted access to guns, or that any individual should possess a nuclear weapon. Inevitably, courts must draw lines, allowing government to carry out its duty to preserve an orderly society without unduly infringing the legitimate interests of individuals in expressing their thoughts and protecting themselves from criminal violence. This is not a precise science or one that will ever be free from controversy. One judicial approach, however, should be unequivocally rejected. During the 19th century, courts routinely refused to invalidate restrictions on free speech that struck the judges as reasonable. This meant that speech got virtually no judicial protection. Government suppression of speech can usually be thought to serve some reasonable purpose, such as reducing social discord or promoting healthy morals. Similarly, most gun control laws can be viewed as efforts to save lives or prevent crime, which are perfectly reasonable goals. If that's enough to justify infringements on individual liberty, neither constitutional guarantee means much of anything. During the 20th century, the Supreme Court finally started taking the First Amendment seriously. Today, individual freedom is generally protected, unless you're on YouTube, unless the government can make a strong case that has a real need to suppress speech or expressive conduct, and that its regulations are tailored to meet that need. The legal doctrines have become quite complex, and there is room for disagreement about many of the court's specific decisions. Taken as a whole, however, this body of case law shows what the court can do when it appreciates the value of an individual right. Hello?
Are you still live?
Yeah, you're live. You're live.
They just crossed 100,000. I'm not in the house. Did they just cross 100,000 finger on the close at 2:55? Does anyone confirm that on your
I'm
call?
looking on mine. I have to hurry because I only get to see one line
If
of the
anyone's
trading.
listening, can anybody confirm that? I think the volume went up by almost 100,000.
There's
shares.
time and sales 79,088
There you
traded
go.
at 2:55 at 4:00.
All right.
79,088 2:55 4:00.
So once again, a prearranged trade on the close, the market down. How many times we're going to see this now? These are all the signs of desperations. They're just moving stock back and forth. This is the sign of desperation. They're running out of wiggle room, as we like to say. It's just amazing stock. Their market down. Just remember, I told you 1,000 times. Real shorts want the stocks higher. These guys need it lower because they can't meet any margin requirements. Zero. They're willing to cross it down a nickel. I wouldn't be surprised if the real short bought that 79,000 and the naked short sold it to them, so they're covered again because they're moving it from one account to the other. Because that guy needs to replenish the shares that he borrowed to short it. Don't ask me who's lending it to him, but he doesn't want to keep paying the fees, so they wash these things back and forth. And when he could borrow shares again, he'll short it and they'll reverse it. The naked short will buy it, and they do it that way. It's just the same. It's like a 3-card Monte game. A shell game, as you want to call it, something like that. That's exactly what it is. It's every day. The stock is never positive. Not even by a penny. Get it down, mark it down. The only reason they do that is margin requirements. That's it. They have serious margin requirements going on. And that's why I keep trying to tell you, accumulation is the best thing to do. Just if you want to play, that's the way to do it. Everything we're saying is right on the nose. You can see it yourself. Most people wouldn't even pay attention. The volume went from 126 to 216 in 1 second. It happened at 4 o'clock on the dot. They did it at 4 o'clock on the dot because no one can participate in it. That's why they did it. They do it right around it. They can do whatever they want. Let's cross it here. Let's cross it there. That's the stock market for you. Back and forth amongst the brotherhood. Anyway, listen, have a great weekend, everybody. Again, this doesn't mean that nothing in a hill of beans is just wasting their time. All right, William?
All
All
right.
right, have a great day. Thank you.
Call ended.
Okay, let's see what you got down here. I'm gonna stop talking about that. No price movement. Where did it close, Craig? I guess I got to type it in. DJT 32.75. And look at NVIDIA. I would say I was closer to right than Ham was, but it didn't really move. It went down though. It didn't move very much. So probably my trade wouldn't have made money. House of Dragons. There, you saw it, David. That's what he called in for. 86K just sold down to 255. What does an algo do when there are no sellers? They work with each other. They are the sellers. But that's what they want. They want volume. They want us. They want us to be suckers. It's just frustrating. That's why they do wash. Yep. That's why they do it. All right, John. My views on the Second Amendment are I read those, it didn't agree with me, but my views on the Second Amendment are that, you take a driver's license to drive a car. I see no problem with having gun licenses and training. I'm sure I don't mind you owning an Uzi and a tank, because you have a value. You have a value of life. But I'm not sure around where I live that I would like all these young people of all natures to own guns. I'm not sure I would want them. But hey. I don't think the hedge funds and the level of intelligence, I don't know. I agree. I think we should stop fighting it. Patrick Byrne stopped fighting it. But I will keep fighting. I will keep fighting it, but I think I don't think we should expect it's going to help. I think we have to learn to trade within the framework of a corrupt market, or just take our monies out of the market. I think it's all possible. John, I believe that I've said that for a while, that GME and AMC are totally under control. Is Finger dangerous if we go to war with China? I'd say every investment is dangerous if we go to war with China. But Finger is a US company. It has its contracts in China. And its point of entry into the ecosystem of the Chinese economy is a phone. I don't think they'll stop using their phone in a war. The owners finger motion are Chinese. So I don't think so. I think they do. I think it's only when you catch them by surprise that you have a squeeze. And I don't think it's the retail that gets it done, by the way. So Netanyahu is warning us that Iran is going to topple Saudi Arabia and Jordan. So I guess we're going to war there. Biden is not dropping out. The S&P is surging to new highs. I don't know where you heard that idea first. Democrats are now gagging to replace Biden, but they may have left it too late. My computer is slow. GoPro is going to explode. Biden seeks to tame Democratic panic at post-debate rally. Supreme Court denies, somebody said it here, Supreme Court denies Steve Bannon's request to delay prison sentence. Fetterman tells Democrats, chill the F out. Supreme Court rules in favor of Jan 6 rioters in obstruction case. Amy Coney Barrett breaks with conservatives over Jan 16 obstruction charge ruling. She's a liberal. Women in general are not conservative the way liberals worry. Maybe Sandra Day O'Connor might have been. I don't know. I don't think she really was. Jan 6 cases start being reopened after Supreme Court ruling. Supreme Court takes sledgehammer to the federal agency power in the Chevron case. Elisa Farah Griffin, I don't know who she is. Oh, she's the one that was in the middle on CNN that kept bringing attention to herself, and she'd cut in and have nothing to say. But I guess she's a really important person. She's a View host, I see. She feels duped by the Democrats. I was genuinely in shock last night watching this, The View. A bunch of chicks yammering at each other. Axelrod has a good point. Axelrod tells GOP, if Biden is replaced, you guys are in trouble. That might be true. Speaker Johnson, cabinet should consider removing Biden through the 25th Amendment. Obama backs Biden after rough debate performance. The puppet master backs the puppet. Chip Roy says he'll call on Harris to remove Biden under the 25th Amendment. Kagan, liberal Supreme Court justices issue scathing dissent in the Chevron ruling. It's going to be Clyburn says Biden should stay the course despite debate performance. Obama alums sound the alarm after Biden's stumble. Well, sounds like it's going to be an interesting weekend. Sounds like it. Just see if there's any more headline. New York Post, damage control. Obama calls Biden's catastrophic debate performance bad, urges voters to back president as the president faces calls to step down. Migrant accused of raping teen girl is out on a $500 bail. Hey, just as long as you don't have a hater in office. You don't want a hater in office. You can't vote for hate. Joe Biden looks scared and lost as Nurse Jill claims her husband's strength is unshakable. Trump says Biden will be the nominee amid a Democratic panic. Biden refuses to step down. Longtime Democratic donor Bill Ackman blasts Democrats and fake news media, lying and misleading the country on Biden's mental acuity and health is an indictment of the Democratic Party. All right, that's enough news. That's enough news. That's true. It's presumptive. Someone said Gabbard will be president. I like Tulsi Gabbard. I think she's great. I like her. She says aloha too much, but I like Tulsi Gabbard. Such BS from William. Very disappointed. Well, Cade Candroid, Hemorrhoid. I'm sorry to disappoint you. All right, I don't have anything much else to talk about, so I'm going to sign off rather than waste people's time. Have a good weekend. Thank you for joining. Let's see if there's next week's going to be slow. It's a 4th of July holiday, but we'll see if I come on. And yeah, he was 100 years old. It's unfair to him. I think Trump would have done well to show some compassion to Biden, myself. Thank you, Barbara and Mark. So we'll catch you. Happy 4th of July. I may not come on before then. So happy 4th of July to everybody. Cheers.